I'm at a park to test out these various cameras that I believe have the best vintage nostalgic aesthetic. Great for projects or things that you're trying to find. And I wanted to compare a bunch of these cameras because I see a bunch of these videos online. They'll just show like 1 or 2 videos and it doesn't really give you a good idea of what the camera is. So I got these 6 cameras. We're gonna test some very nostalgic kind of photos. I got some like toys. We're gonna do like pretty much everything that you could ever want from a camera. We're gonna test low light, bright light, close, far. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So what I got are both of the PSP cameras. Now, the silver one is from Japan. This has a better megapixel. We're not gonna be talking about any of that resolution stuff in this video. It's just gonna be purely video and photos that I'll show in the video. The resolutions are all abysmal. They're under 720p for photos and videos are all roughly around 480p. But so I have both PlayStation ones. This is the one that we'll typically have in America, and this is that silver one from Japan. Then we have an iPod Nano. This thing is just solely a camera. We also have a flip camera. We got ourselves a super cool 3DS. Also went with a 3DS over a DSi because this could actually take video. DSi's can only do photo, so this could do photo and video. Last but not least, we have these Amazon cameras. These are probably the ones that you'll want to use the most. There's a reason why I chose all 6 of these cameras because they're very easy to hook up to a computer. So from left to right on the 3DS, we have just a simple SD card. You can actually pull that out and put the photos onto your computer. The iPod Nano, all you need is just a sync cable and it will instantly recognize the footage. A flip camera, pretty self-explanatory. Flip it out and plug it in when it's turned on and you'll get your files. This guy is actually pretty nice because PSPs, you'd think with the memory cards, you wouldn't be able to hook up footage, but this actually is an adapter. This is an adapter for an SD card. So you can take the SD card out and put it into one of these adapters. The same goes for this little Amazon camera. You can take out the micro SD card. Most of these Amazon cameras will come with these. That's why I have a ton of them. And then maybe if you don't want to use that memory card for a PSP, there's a lot of these aftermarket sync cables that you can actually just plug into your computer USB via the sync cable. We're gonna take a bunch of photos with these cameras to show you what the best photo would be for your nostalgic project. For this first shot, we're gonna get distances. So we're gonna do an up close shot just right here with all the cameras. And then I'm gonna stand over here and we'll get one down here. All these cameras do a pretty good job of taking up close photos of me. Now, the details all are pretty much there. There's gonna be a trend on all these examples where half the cameras have a yellow tint and the other half have a blue tint. For the video footage, I forgot to get the 3DS camera just because this was the first one that we were setting up and trying to do. The flip is gonna be the obvious best camera going forward on all these examples. But the thing is it's not a photography thing. It's just a video camera, same with the iPod Nano. And the PSP Silver and the PSP Black have slight differences. I was surprised to find out that the silver PSP camera came out at a much older time compared to the black PSP camera that came out way later, but it had a worse camera. And then the Amazon footage is just too scrunched. I don't know why that is a thing. With the medium range photos, you can begin to see kind of that thing that I was talking about where one side is kind of yellow and the other side is blue. Now, when we look at the up close, when we zoom in on the quality of these photos, we actually see that 3 out of the 4 are pretty pixelated up close. While the Amazon camera has a little bit more detailed, the 3DS camera actually does a really good job of blending in the pixels, so you don't really, your images aren't as pixelated. And the video footage across the board is pretty good as well, the flip camera being the best, and it has really good colors. The iPod Nano has a slightly better lens, which gives it that fisheye look. You have a little bit more sky and a little bit more ground in the video. The Amazon camera is just kind of a weird ratio. It cuts off a lot of stuff. The 3DS camera has a 10:16 ratio, which is a little weird. And your PSP cameras are your default 16:9. It's important to note that all these cameras are taken from the same position with no zooming whatsoever, no focusing, no anything. This is just point and shoot, and this is the examples. Something that's really great about these cameras is if we look even closer, the black PSP camera looks like I don't even have a head anymore. The silver one kind of looks like I'm there as like a phantom figure, and the 3DS, it's kind of weird. On the third one, it looks like it has the best image. I can't believe that. The Amazon camera kind of has the same detail. It's a little bit more pixelated, kind of gives it more of a, at this point, I look like a sprite character on a video game. The flip camera video footage is so perfect. Like, this is actually, at this range, this is the best camera to pick up any detail. The iPod Nano just suffers from that fisheye lens effect, and I'm just too far out there in the video. The Amazon camera, while it's good, it's just oddly scrunched. But actually from this footage, if you didn't have any other videos to, because I keep saying it's scrunched, but if you didn't have anything else to compare it with, it actually still looks pretty good. It's got the third best detail out of all the cameras. The 3DS camera has like a nostalgic tint over it. It's got that really good yellow on it. From this distance, you can still make out the detail even after explaining it to you. The PSP cameras suffer from the iPod Nano issue where they kind of have like a fisheye lens effect to it. And if we compare the flip video footage next to the worst camera on this list, which is the PSP black camera, the differences are major. So the next type of photo that we're going to take is we're going to get a photo of Mount Hood from the distance. This will kind of show the camera's capabilities of picking up detail in the longer distance kind of expose. I don't even know if that's the word, exposure. We're just gonna test the distance of the landscape. The clouds kept rolling in and blocking the mountain, but what this actually shows is if the camera can pick up the detail between the clouds, the mountain, and the background. And it's safe to say that both the PSP cameras and the 3DS kind of do a good job of separating all three. Amazon camera can kind of make a little bit of the distinction. It feels like you have to do some color correcting to get the depths of the differences. Personally, I actually prefer the black PSP camera just based on the colors alone. For the videos, you can definitely see the mountains on the flip camera, the iPod Nano, and the 3DS, while the PSPs don't really show it that well, and to me it kind of looks like it just blends in with the horizon. The Amazon camera, you can't even see anything because of how bad the light contrast is on this thing. So I forgot to take photos on these ones, so we're just going to focus on the video footage. Now this one is a shocker, it will be a shocker. The flip camera has the best footage, obviously. The iPod Nano still has pretty good lights in a dark room, and the 3DS and the Amazon footage is completely washed out. You can't even tell what's in it. Now the shocker comes with the PSP cameras, because the supposedly better silver camera is terrible at picking up video footage in a darker room. And look at the PSP black camera. It doesn't even look like I recorded it on the really terrible 0.2 megapixel camera. Like, what is this video footage? This exactly came off of my black PSP camera. For the next scene, we got these toy army figures that we're going to set up a battlefield, and then we're going to take photos with the various cameras. This awesome nostalgic childhood army battlefield photo is a great example of kind of where a lot of things get cut off and some of the contrasting. So there's actually this toy figure on the left side that on some of the footage actually gets cropped out. For example, on the 3DS camera, you don't actually see him, but on all the other photos, you do. On the video footage, very similar issue. The flip camera, you can't see the guy on the far left, but on the iPod Nano, you can see him. You can't see him on the 3DS camera as well, but you can still see him on all the other ones. The footage on this one, I'm kind of enjoying a little bit of the iPod Nano and the flip camera, but I also like how the silver PSP camera looks for the footage. And the Amazon camera also has a nice glint to the heads on the army figures, so it's really up for what you want. I personally would be fine with the majority of these, just I don't really like the yellow look to a lot of these. I prefer the more childhood aesthetic of that bright blue sky and bright green grass. Because I was talking about the skies, I wanted to do a side-by-side of how the sky looks on every device. I think the last thing for this park that we're gonna do is we're gonna get a shot of DOMO. So we're gonna prop him up against the fence and get that iconic DOMO photography. There we go, let's get it. This is just a perfect example of when you add something that is just known to the viewer, it doesn't matter what you use for the camera. DOMO in all of these photos look good to me. Every single version I would use because it has enough crunch and enough resolution, all the photos, that he still looks pretty good. And even on the video footage, where I was previously complaining how I would want to use a more brighter sky with a deeper blue and a brighter green grass, I actually prefer the iPod Nano. The iPod Nano video footage, oh my god, it looks so... it's so nostalgic to me. I don't even know how to explain it. The Amazon footage, I don't think I might like as much just because a lot of the things seem to be blinded by sunlight, but the 3DS one, the silver and black PSP cameras, all perfect. Cool thing I like about all of these cameras, they just fit in like a nice little bag. They're not like bulky 2000s cameras, and they give you the same aesthetic. Now we're gonna record with the cameras using a CRT to kind of get that authentic feeling that we had trying to record on a TV like this when we were 10. I'm very impressed with how all 6 of these video clips don't have any sort of like that CRT rolling effect where it gets kind of blurred out with this big black line that goes through top to bottom. Kind of what I've noticed is there's actually sort of a sync issue with 2 of the cameras. The Amazon camera actually runs a little bit faster. I think I had to slow down the footage. And the same thing actually happened with the silver PSP camera. They were out of sync and I had to line them up oddly. But the best video footage is still the flip camera. No shocker there. And I'm surprised the 3DS camera could pick things up. The iPod Nano camera, actually pretty good as well. So if you're looking to record CRT footage, you might want to pick some of those options. I forgot to mention how good the black PSP camera picks up the entire room in a low light environment. It still blows my mind, and it's better than the flip camera. I wanted to kind of test what it looks like to take a more authentic looking photo with these 6 cameras, and so let's get into that. This is kind of a dumb example, but I tried to go out somewhere to record something that looks like it was from my childhood. I couldn't find a McDonald's building, so I found this Burger King building. I don't know. This is purely just an example of what you could and can't do with cameras. But then I also wanted to zoom in and see like what the logo of the Burger King sign looks like. And out of these 4 photos, the best one is the Amazon camera. For the video footage, again, I'm pretty impressed with the flip camera, and the iPod Nano actually gives it a better look because you get more of the sky in the photo from the same angle pointing outwards. I'm noticing that all the videos are smooth except for the Amazon camera, which typically has this issue where it's like stuttering, it's like 20 frames per second. It's a lot more choppier than the other 5 cameras. Because malls are dying, I thought it'd be cool to get a shot of like, I don't know, JCPenney. I tried to find Sears, but I mean, Sears are all gone. This outside of JCPenney just looks good on all the video footage, and all the bricks are multicolored, and they have a really good job of blending in with the pixels with kind of like the muddy look on all these cameras. The black PSP camera, by no surprise at this point, doesn't have the best kind of accuracy when zoomed in. I actually do prefer the 3DS on all of these, but the JCPenney can still be made out on the silver and the Amazon. For the camera footage, it doesn't look too bad. Across the board, all great options as well. At this range for the both PSP cameras, they look the same to me. And I noticed the Amazon camera suffers from a weird blob. It has a curve in the footage. It actually kind of makes it got like a fisheye lens look on it now with this specific footage. So I want to give you my final thoughts on these just in case you want to purchase one of these. The flip camera has the best camera quality, undoubtedly. But that's the thing, camera quality. It doesn't take photos. But the great thing about this, if you can find a working flip camera, they just take AA batteries. I have these color matching ones, so that's why it looks a little weird. But it's the easiest to use. And again, you can just take a snapshot of a video clip and get a photo. Kind of the second best option is just going to be your 3DS from your childhood. I want to go out of your way to get one of these guys, but it takes really good quality photos and it's relatively easy to take off with the SD card. Now I kind of rate these 2 similarly. Now again, this has the flip problem issue where it only just takes video, and it's strange in the sense that when you hold this guy, the camera is literally right under there, so you have to like hold it like this. And the other drawback to this is that it doesn't have an external battery, and these batteries can usually blow up. So this is probably what you're gonna see on your childhood iPod Nano. I got this refurbished on eBay, and so you get one of these bad boys, you're gonna wanna make sure it's refurbished or you replace the battery. The Amazon cameras are pretty great. Now this takes really good photos, just odd video. Gotta knock it down a couple notches because it has a weird .avi file and it doesn't accurately show up on the computers. I actually had to run the footage through Sony Vegas, rendered it out, and then it worked on DaVinci. Really comes down to personal preference if you like the pixelated look or if you like the softer look that the 3DS gives you. And then here comes kind of the controversial take on the PSPs. Now, here's the big problem. You're going to have to buy the adapter. You're going to have to buy a console if you don't already have one.
You probably have a PSP battery that's bloated, so you're gonna have to get a new battery. You're also gonna need to get an SD card format that works well. A lot of people are gonna say because this has more megapixels, this is actually the better deal. No, it is not. I'm here to say that the camera specifically from Japan is not better just because of megapixels. You're better off getting a $40, usually a $40 camera, this cheap guy, because it has better light levels. And I mean, you're buying these, they're junk cameras, so why do you need a more megapixel camera? It's up for you to decide with the video footage, but this is actually the camera I would recommend people get, and it's a whole lot cheaper than having to import this guy from Japan. If I did another comparison video like this, let me know what cameras and devices I should cover. Other than that, I make a ton of nostalgic content because nostalgia is important to me, and I'll see you on the next video.